Brock Purdy is feeling the heat like never before in San Francisco, and he probably has just about the worst opponent he could possibly get coming up on Sunday. How's he going to respond? How's Kyle Shanahan going to respond? And what the hell is Levin's secret hot take that he won't tell me about? Find out next. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. That man is Levin Black. Levin, a day before Thanksgiving, how are you feeling about the 49ers right now?
Probably the best I have all year, honestly. Other than maybe the 3-0 start, but the 3-0 start, they were barely escaping those games. So it was good, but not as confident as I am now, I feel.
Interesting.
At 8-4.
I was not expecting you to say that, considering all the quarterback discourse that we are about to dive into on this show.
Either way, the Niners are good, so I don't care. It's not this quarterback completely sucks and this other guy we got to turn to is going to suck too, but maybe he sucks less. It's, hey, this guy's the normal starter. He had one good game, one terrible game, and if we turn to the other guy, he played well.
I'm actually interested in this because, most of when I take the temperature of 49ers fans, most of what I take it from is Twitter, is online discourse. And Twitter, there is genuine rage on Twitter. People want Brock Purdy not only not starting, they want him off the team. They are completely done. There is no hope for Brock Purdy. They think that, that's it. And I don't know if that reflects the attitude in general of 49ers fans. Because if there's one thing we've learned since Twitter became a thing, it's not real life, right? The loudest, most emotional voices are the ones that appear on Twitter. I wonder if in general 49er fans feel as angry at Brock Purdy, quite frankly, as people do online.
No clue, because I'm not on Twitter anymore. But yeah, this is one of those situations that I think would become more, it would skew, because you're either upset with how Purdy played and don't want to see him, or you think Purdy should still be the starter, but you're not speaking up this week. You know what I mean? Like, the way he played, this is not the week you're going to go to bat for him. This is the week you're just going to be like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not responding.
Maybe I should just shut up about that this week. Look, there is some justified frustration with Brock Purdy. I made this graphic. We used it yesterday on Bully Ball. We've seen two different Brocks. In 2023, 10 of Brock's 16 starts had no interceptions whatsoever. So most of them, right? He had 6 starts in 2023 where he threw at least one interception. But here was the key to me. He only had 3 starts with multiple interceptions in 2023. In the 19 starts that Brock has made since then, he has 6 games with multiple interceptions and 11 games with at least one. So what we have seen with Brock Purdy is when it goes bad, it tends to get really bad. And I think that is what he needs to stop. He needs to stop the snowballing effect. If he throws in 1 interception a game, you can live with that. You can survive that. The offense is going to score enough to compensate for that. But when you are throwing multiple, that's when you really get into the danger zone for me.
I'm going to just put it straight out there. I don't understand this graphic because the numbers don't add up. 16 starts, you have 19 games. 19 starts, you have 25 games. So 16, what is it?
16 starts. He has 10 starts with no interceptions and 6 with at least one. But 3 of those in 2023 have multiple interceptions. That it does make sense. You just have to read it.
Now I understand. Okay, so half the time that he throws an interception, he's going to throw multiple. That ratio continues. The difference is the ratio of when he does throw an interception, because it's 6 out of 16, which is 37.5%, and it's 11 out of 19, which is about 58%. So, it's not quite double, but 20% higher. So 1 out of 5 games, basically. If you play 5 games, Brock's going to have 1 extra game out of those 5 games that he's throwing at least 1 interception. And out of those, half of them are going to end up being multiple. It's a pretty significant jump. That's what we've talked about. I think it has a lot to do with, it's clear he has a tendency when things are not working, that he's going to sit and he's going to wait for that intermediate route. And that's where he wants to bail. He doesn't go, where's my check down? He goes, nope, I'm going to sit and wait and wait and wait. Okay, anticipation throw. So he can be baited easily. He hasn't adjusted to that yet. Defense is adjusted to his tendency. He has not adjusted back. If he doesn't adjust back, yeah, his days are numbered.
First of all, I don't appreciate you questioning my graphics. So I'm just going to lay that on the line. It was 100% correct. You're a big jerk. But also, I think you just touched on something that I think that people are saying, well, Brock has had this stretch here where he's been throwing a lot of interceptions. Get him off a team. He's terrible. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Because everybody likes to just go back to Christmas, right? Go back to since then, starting with his worst game ever, and then they look at what he's been. And I don't think that is fair. What I have said is take out all of 2023 and just look at since then. He has 19 interceptions and 19 starts, which is not great. But you just touched on it. Is this who Brock Purdy is, or is it something that he's going to have to fight through? The defenses have evolved. They've got more tape on him than ever before. They have adjusted. How does he adjust? And I do think it's possible that he and Kyle Shanahan do make an adjustment, and that this isn't the Brock Purdy who, like, what he's going to be the rest of his career, that he could make an adjustment, because I do agree with you. I think that defenses have baited him into stuff because they know his arm is not strong enough to where they'll get burned if they bait him into stuff. So they have time to recover and time to bait him into things. But I do think it's possible that he fixes this.
The thing is, what makes him great, like he does as well as anybody, is also what's leading to these interceptions. It's anticipation throws deeper down the field. Now, last 2 games, he hasn't been able to do that. But on his career, he throws before the wide receiver is making a break on a 15-yard route, to where the moment he makes his break and he's open by like 1.5 yards, the DB hasn't had a chance to respond. The ball is there. The problem with that is like we said, if you run somebody over the top who cheats down, anticipating, okay, he's about at the 15-yard mark, I'm going to start coming up. Brock's already released that ball, or is in the process of releasing it. He's already made the mental decision.
Mm-hmm.
And now the DBs are breaking. Like it's like a timing thing for the defense is what I feel like it is that they understand what Brock's tendency is. They understand about how long those 15-yard routes are taking for the break, and they're timing it. They're making it look like they're not playing that coverage, and then they are at the same time Brock starts to wind up breaking on that. So they're breaking before normally they would be able to see it, because they're not seeing it. They just know his tendency. And can Brock or Kyle Shanahan come up with a counter to that, to burn them, like a double move, fake the break in and go deep without Brock's thrown over the top because the safety has flown down? Or they also have the linebackers tend to sit and then they start breaking back. So can they make the adjustment? I don't know. One of the things I would say is maybe Brock needs to, and this is getting a little bit out of my depth here, so maybe Johnny Dell can break it down more, but can Brock make an adjustment where he looks somewhere else to get a clue before he makes that deep route? So instead of like just looking at the safety and seeing the leverage that the DB has on the wide receiver, can he take a quick look to see what the linebacker's doing, to see if it's the type where, hey, they're in position that if they break back, they can get this ball? Like that's the part that I don't know. Can he make an adjustment on his reads, or does it just have to be an adjustment where maybe they don't run those type of plays for a little while to break the defense from doing it?
So it's funny you mentioned that, because last week, I believe it was, Johnny had a clip of Brock. You're talking about eye manipulation, right? Using where he's looking to manipulate the defense before he throws. And he actually had a clip of Brock.
No, just real quick clarification. Not eye manipulation. Brock getting a read post-snap on what the defense is wanting to do, to know, is this guy in the right spot to where he can break and get that, then I'm taking it out of the equation, I'm moving on. So instead of watching the DB covering the wide receiver's leverage, and the safety, which is typically what a quarterback is looking at on that type of route, does he look more down and see, is there anybody that can undercut this or cheat over that I normally wouldn't anticipate, but because they're cheating against me, I need to look at them to see if they're capable of cheating against me, to know what, and if they are, then I'm not throwing that ball and take it out of the equation, go somewhere else with his read. So it's a read change, not eye manipulation.
I do think that because Brock has to throw with so much anticipation, part of that is confidence, right? Part of it is, I feel confident throwing this ball. Okay, I need to throw with anticipation. Oh, okay, I've seen whatever I need to see to make the decision to throw the ball. I can't be scared about throwing the pick. I can't be where I have to just trust in myself, in my arm, and the play and Kyle that this is going to be open at this time. And so confidence does factor into that. And I thought it was interesting because Brock was asked about that after the game. And I'm going to play the clip.
As a quarterback, you want to play aggressive. You want to take what the defense gives you, but when you turn the ball over really 3 drives in a row, it's like, all right, like you feel it. You feel a little bit of pressure and stuff, but I mean, this is why we're put in this position. I can handle this. As a quarterback, you can't lose confidence in yourself. You can't, shrivel back and then all of a sudden take a bunch of checkdowns and stuff. Like, you still got to read the play out and stay aggressive and be better. You got to learn from your mistakes.
Thought that was a really interesting quote because he did admit, like, you turn the ball over, you feel it a little bit, right? Like, yeah, I think it does. And not just Brock, every quarterback, because you don't want to keep turning the ball over. You feel that pressure, but you can't let that get to you, Brock, because if you feel that pressure and you wait and you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure that this ball is an interception, right? I'm going to make sure that that guy is open. Then you've missed your window. And so what that is actually going to lead to is potentially more interceptions. So it's a really slippery slope, I think, for him.
Yeah, and it is what it is. Like, either he stops forcing these, and I'm not sure, we've been saying forcing because they are later throws, but a lot of these are still anticipation throws where he's throwing as the wide receivers making their break. It's just a deeper route, so it takes longer. Can he prevent that? I don't know. That's why I'm getting into, like, do they just need to make a change in terms of what they're calling? Does the wide receiver do a double move? Do they start having routes where if that safety comes flying, where you tell Brock, don't throw it before he makes his break? Wait until he starts to make his break, see if the safety comes flying down. If the safety comes flying down, we're going to have a route that's going behind that safety, and that will now become wide open because the safety is coming to cheat on, the deep in crossing route. Something like that where you make the defense pay for cheating down on these type of throws that he's been throwing interceptions. That's what I would like to see. Exactly how you can make them, you're getting past my depth. And I don't want to sit here and BS.
John Chapman in the audience. Thank you, John, for the super chat. Appreciate that. At 49ers Rush says, appreciate you two guys, 2 studs doing great things for the community. No more 3 interception games. First of all, thank you very much, John. I don't know about 2 studs. 1 stud, I think we all agree on. The other one, I'm not so sure, but we appreciate it. John has tremendous events for 49ers road games that everybody should go to. I wanted to go. I'm going to be honest with you, John, since you're watching really quick. I wanted to go to the one that you had in Jersey, but there was no hotel room cheaper than $600 for one night. So I couldn't go. I just didn't have $600 to spend on a friggin' hotel room. So that's why I didn't go, but I did buy a ticket. So there you go. I've contributed.
Yeah, you're the stud. I'm the hammer that's knocking the nail into the stud.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you need to tell yourself. Joseph Ernberg says Brock is just a right-handed Tua. High 11. I think you stole that take from Colin Cowherd, Joseph, but okay. I would tell you this. I would feel a lot better about Brock potentially fixing his issues if they were playing not the Cleveland
Myles Garrett, yeah,
this weekend. I mean, there is a lot against Brock Purdy right now. You got your interception issues. You're playing against the best pass rusher the league has seen in probably a decade, maybe more. You're playing against a defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz that has always given Kyle Shanahan trouble, that has limited even the Super Bowl team in 2023. And oh, by the way, if we needed one more thing to throw on top of all of this, it's going to be snowing and or raining in Cleveland. That is a lot for Brock Purdy to have to overcome. But if you're going to be the guy and the man and the quarterback that we think can lead this team to where they want to go, you have to be able to find a way to overcome it.
Well, the snowing, it's likely to be snowing. I mean, I live 2 hours southeast of Cleveland, and I have a brother who's going to be leaving my house driving right through. So I've been watching that weather pattern. It's probably going to be some snow come Sunday afternoon. It's an interesting thing because is it better for the 49ers or worse for the 49ers? Because I think there's a big argument there. And yeah, certainly in some aspects it's going to be worse for the 49ers, but doesn't a snow kind of limit the get off of Myles Garrett, right?
Snow helps offense. People think of sometimes it doesn't, but the offense knows where they are going and the defense doesn't. So when footing is questionable, always favor the team that knows where they're going because they don't have to react, right? They're just doing their thing. They know where they're going. So maybe that takes Brock off the hook a little bit, though, Levin. I was thinking about this because Akash and Rothan said we could get 1 to 3 inches of snow.
The Brock, well, one I've seen as much as 7. So
lake effect, baby.
Lake effect. That's Cleveland's kind of in a weird spot for the lake effect because there's the Lake Michigan lake effect that tends to end just before Cleveland to the west of them, and to the east they're not quite Lake Erie lake effect. They're kind of like in this middle ground between the Great Lakes where they can get lake effect snow, but it's not all that common. Like Erie, PA, which is just across the border, and it's like 45 minutes east of Cleveland, they get lake effect snow all the time. So they're in a weird spot, but I've seen as much as 7 on the weather forecast. But that's what I was going to say. You're getting into Brock. Is it a good thing? Well, if it's snow and rain, what do we know about Brock? You were the first one on this that I ever heard. Brock struggles when it's wet.
When it's wet, he does. Now, I'm hoping that snow may be a little different than rain, but here's the thing. Let's say it's a sloppy mess out there, right? Nobody's going to expect Brock Purdy to play a perfect game because it's going to be like, oh, it was a bad weather game, one of those crazy. So maybe that takes the pressure off him. I don't know, but I do think snow helps offense. I think snow helps the running game. Remember that game in Buffalo? They were just like, all right, forget passing. Everybody's going to run every time because it was so hard to keep your footing, to hold your, to get off blocks and stuff like that. So maybe this is a Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson game where they just run. Let me ask you this. If you were Kyle Shanahan, take the weather out of it. Let's just pretend for 1 second that it was going to be regular weather. Do you come out with your regular game plan? Or do you do what Kyle did in the second half yesterday, which is basically short throws, defined reads, throws outside the numbers, and use that game plan at least to start to build up Brock Purdy's confidence a little bit?
Well, I feel like those are one and the same because the game plan that they should run against this defense is a short passing, a lot of screens, a lot of things like that, because that's how you negate Myles Garrett. If you're trying to throw 15 plus yards down the field, you're playing into Myles Garrett's forte. Like, you want to negate him, and the way you negate him is by running and by doing short passes that they struggle to do anything against. So a lot of Christian McCaffrey, a lot of screens, things like that is what I'm looking for. A lot of crossing routes, especially if like Myles Garrett is just going all full tilt. Then run Christian McCaffrey right to the spot where he's going to vacate because he's going full tilt to try to get downfield on a pass rush. So just keep running Christian McCaffrey right behind him for an easy dump off. So to me, it's kind of one and the same. I'm not looking to do deep passes in this game because Myles Garrett's not going to let you.
He is terrible. This is not an exaggeration. He has more sacks than the entire 49ers team. He's unbelievable this year. He's just a human wrecking crew. If it is a must-pass situation, like, you're not blocking him. And that's not a slight on Colton McKivitz. Maybe if he's lined up over Trent Williams, you certainly have a better shot. But man, he's just a wrecking crew.
Let's call it what it is, because there is a very good argument, and I would personally side with this argument, that Myles Garrett is the best pass rusher the NFL has seen since the 2 greatest of all time, and Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. I think he's more complete than all of them. I think he's the best pass rusher this league has seen since those 2 guys, and I would argue that he's already top 5 all time in terms of pass rushing, and I think he gets into the argument of best all time before he hangs it up.
I would put Bruce Smith in that conversation as well. because Bruce Smith is amazing, and I believe he's the all-time leader in sacks with 200.
Yeah, he had longevity and consistency, but his peak wasn't quite the same.
His peak was 19 sacks in 1990, which is
I've looked very deeply into his sack numbers. That was kind of the thing. That was the statistic I liked looking up most when I was a kid.
Bruce Smith has 13 seasons of double-digit sacks. That's absurd.
Yeah, but Reggie White would all but be guaranteed to be the all-time sack leader if he hadn't played in the USFL.
I'm not saying, look, I'm just saying Bruce Smith's in the conversation.
Yeah,
he really.
He's certainly in the top 5 for getting to be part of the conversation. I just don't think you would ever actually pick him.
Well, we don't need to get bogged down in the debate. The Niners have to really manage and deal with Myles Garrett this weekend. For reference, the Browns defense allows 273 total yards per game. That is number 2 in the league. Now they do allow 22 points per game, which is 13th, which is actually, if you can believe it, more points per game than the 49ers defense allows so far this season.
It's because their offense has completely crapped over that defense.
Right.
That defense should be leading the league in points allowed, but their offense has continually kind of put them behind the ball.
Yes.
And that's going to lead to points. When your offense is turning the ball over and barely staying on the field, one, there's more opportunities for the opposing offense to go get points, more drives. 2, if you turn the ball over, normally the opposing offense only needs, if any, yards, 1 first down, maybe 2, and then they're in field goal range. So that points allowed, I think you kind of take it out of the equation when you're trying to evaluate how good the Cleveland Browns defense is.
It can be deceptive. I completely agree with you, because if you're often like Brock, the Niners defense could have allowed a ton more points on Monday because the 2 turnovers set up the Panthers in Niners territory. Now, to their credit, they didn't. But then you would look at the raw points total if they did and be like, well, the Niners allow more. So I completely agree with what you're saying. There's another part of this that I feel like is kind of flying under the radar a little bit, and that is Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall has not had the impact that I thought he was going to have. I thought he was going to have 2 big weeks. So far, in 2 games back from injury, he's only been targeted 6 times. 6 times in 2 games. He has 3 catches for 6 yards. That ain't going to cut it. That dog won't hunt, as they say. And he had a really interesting comment. I don't know if you saw this after the game on Monday. Take a listen to Ricky when he was asked about Christian McCaffrey and all the touches he's getting.
How tough would that be to get all those touches? Because he seems to love it, but he's just getting touches after game. I think he got over 30 tonight. He had 25 plus last week.
I don't think it's tough. I mean, I would love 30 touches a game. Yeah, I don't think it's tough at all, honestly. He's a really good football player, and whenever the ball's in his hands or going his way, success happens. So why not keep throwing to him, hand him off the balls, So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really tough. I think it's actually really fun for him, and he probably wants that. So do I. So,
what do you make of Ricky Pearsall essentially saying, like, hey, man, I'll take some of those?
Nothing. I think if you're trying to look for controversy there, you're just seeing what you want to see. That's just him saying everybody likes touches. That's the truth. Everybody would like 30 touches a game. Every single, even I would argue, anybody that plays on offense would love 30 touches per game, because if you ask Trent Williams, he would probably say, hell yeah, I would like to be able to run the ball sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think that was him saying, I need the ball more. It was him saying, everybody would like to have 30 plus touches.
I don't think it's like, oh, there's a problem with Ricky Pearsall. I'm not saying that at all. I just, we've generally had a bunch of 49ers players being like, oh, everything for the team, blah, blah, blah. And I like the fact that Ricky Pearsall was like, shoot, I'll take 30 touches. Like, good. They need to get him the ball more, Levin. Like, every time Juwan Jennings gets targeted, I just want to rage. For example, on that interception that Brock throws, the first one that he throws to Jennings, the 2 receivers, it's like a max protect formation. So like they're because they're close to the goal line. There's 2 guys running routes. One is Juwan Jennings. One is Sky Moore. What are we doing here? Like, why? That should never happen. They need to make Ricky more of a priority in this offense and Juwan less of a priority. And maybe that's Brock, who just, favors Juwan Jennings a little bit. We saw him favor him in the Super Bowl when he should have thrown to Brandon Ayuk at a crucial moment. I don't know if it's Brock or it's a Kyle thing, but number one needs to get the ball more.
I would say they should definitely try to get him involved, if only because that's going to affect the defense. If they know that he's not part of the true game plan, then they're not going to send as much focus his way, and he's supposed to be the number one receiver. Now, I would argue the offense has been working. Last week, the only reason the offense didn't work was because Brock was inaccurate. They would have had 30-plus points if Brock threw accurately at all. So the offense is working, so I don't know that you need to change it drastically, and I don't know that you need to say, well, no, we're throwing to this wide receiver just because we don't want to throw to that wide receiver. If it's working, I don't give a flying F who's getting the ball.
But it's not working right now.
But it is.
They scored 20 points against Carolina.
Only because Brock couldn't throw accurately. If he threw accurately, he made the right reads. The people were open until he made an inaccurate throw that was behind them or not with enough loft on the deep throw to Pearsall. Like, he's making the right reads. If he throws more accurately, they had 30-plus points in that game. And they had 40-plus points the week before. Like, the offense is working. Can Brock not screw it up?
I want to see Pearsall get the ball more. I think that you are walking a tightrope with Christian McCaffrey leading the league in catches and leading the league in touches and doing all this. Now, I know I have said that, like, hey, they need to use McCaffrey, but, like, I don't know that they need to use him this much. 9 touches on the opening drive. Yeah, I don't know that, like, some of those couldn't have gone to Ricky Pearsall. Like, really? And we did see them try to give him a couple. They threw him a screen pass out in the flat once that didn't work. And they gave him an end around touch, which I was like, I kind of see it, like, worth a shot. We've seen that work with him in the past as well. But they need to see him get more involved. Also, for another reason, Levin, you don't know what the situation is going to be at wide receiver after the year. Brandon Ayuk's probably going to be gone. Juwan Jennings maybe will be gone, although now who knows? We'll see. But you need to know, like, is Ricky a guy that can lead your receiving core, or is he just a really nice number 2? And if he's a really nice number 2, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to know what you need in the offseason. And because Ricky hasn't played that much this year, and because he got shot last year and didn't play a full season then, like, you don't have a full picture of what he is, and they got to figure that out.
I would say Kyle probably knows the full picture of what he is. Fans don't know. But that's because they've seen him practice, and they know what he was prior to and whether or not they could have devised things around him or not. I think that he is ultimately one of those guys that if he's your number 2, you have a really good number 1. If he's your number 1, like he's one of those guys that's better than almost every number 2 out there, but you're not necessarily happy if he's the number 1. Like, he's in that in-between spot where kind of deserving to be number 1, but you prefer him to be your number 2.
It could very well be. And that's not meant as a slight to him. That would still make him a very good player, but there is a difference between a clear number 1 and not a clear number 1. All right. Before we get to Levin's hot takes, which he won't tell me about, I do want to just take a second to talk about Sleeper. You've heard me talk about the Sleeper app in the past. It is phenomenal. It is so easy to use. It has everything you need. There's fantasy, there's picks. You can get your news on the Sleeper app as well. I highly recommend it. And if you make your picks with Sleeper, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. It's super easy. You just pick higher or lower on a ton of different stats that they have. And again, if your picks are correct, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. We will give you picks. Michelle and I are still doing a show on Friday, regardless of the holiday. We were terrible last week at picks. Full disclosure, it was awful. Put it all on Brock Purdy. You can't hit your picks if your quarterback is throwing 3 interceptions. So hopefully we are better. But again, please choose Sleeper. And if you check it out and you deposit your money, you'll get a free $20 entry. So all you got to do, or excuse me, let me rephrase. If you check it out and sign up, you'll get a free $20 entry. So just have some fun, see what you like. If you then want to deposit money, use our code GSP and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. So again, you want to deposit money, use the code GSP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
Levins.
Oh, man, I thought that was going to work. All right, let me do it again.
Levin's hot takes.
Game is sweeping the nation. Levin's hot takes. What do you got for us this week?
Well, not exactly a hot take to start out, but apparently you don't know what you're doing.
Can you just get to the real thing now?
Yeah. All right. We talked about it a little bit, but I think Kyle Shanahan exercises his Jim Schwartz demons, and the Niners score 24 plus. He's 1-8 against Jim Schwartz, and his team is averaging 15.7 points per game against Jim Schwartz. But I just think that the one, like I mentioned, the offense, I think they're doing all the right things. This last game, they scored 20, but that's because their quarterback could not throw accurately on plays that should have been complete. They had 40 before that. The offense is clicking, and I think they have a couple things going for them. It's late season. We know Kyle is better as the season goes on. I think that's a huge advantage. Last time we saw him, I think, what was it, week 4? They played Cleveland previously.
I think it was earlier.
It was much earlier. I think the combination of this offense clicking, Kyle having more time to know exactly what Cleveland's doing, he's going to be able to find the way to get some big plays.
It's interesting. You would think that eventually Kyle would crack the code, but in reading the Mike Silver book, The Why is Everything, he talks a lot about Shanahan, and he mentioned Schwartz and how Shanahan has always struggled against Schwartz. And part of it is because, as we've talked about, Kyle is good at figuring out your tendencies and your rules and your patterns and breaking them and countering them. Jim Schwartz doesn't have those as much. He's much more of kind of a random guy. He doesn't have so much of a pattern that he goes to, and that takes away some of what Kyle Shanahan does best. So that is a huge, huge part of it. The other thing too is what is required of the offense, because we don't know what Shedeur Sanders is going to do. We don't know. Can Shedeur Sanders play in weather? We don't know that about him either, right? As much as we talk about it with Brock, maybe he'll be good, but maybe he'll be a disaster. And maybe he'll put the 49ers offense in situations where they don't need to go 80 yards down the field. That would be the perfect game script for the 49ers. But there's a lot unknown. So, there's a scenario where Kyle does put up 30 points and the offense isn't asked to do as much as what we normally would think of a 30-point game.
I mean, that's fair. The Sanders is the ultimate wild card in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Could he learn from his one interception last week, and now he goes out there and looks like the top 10 pick everybody thought he was going to be late in last year's college football season? Or does he go out there and completely crap the bed and everybody goes, there's the guy that we saw that doesn't know what he's doing, and that's why he was a 5th-round pick? It could be either one of those. I wouldn't be surprised by either one. I mean, the Niners secondary is not very good, but at the same time, I feel like Saleh should know how to mess with a young quarterback. You know what I mean? You got one of the best defensive coordinators over there. So I could see it going either way. If it's a complete train wreck, then you're going to see multiple turnovers. Like the Niners now have, shocker, multiple weeks in a row of multiple turnovers on defense. Wow, I haven't seen that in a long time. So yeah, the Niners offense could be gifted points where, all right, they're getting the ball on Cleveland's 20 already, to where if they get a field goal, that's not the offense getting a field goal. That's the defense getting a field goal.
Right. By the way, how dare you besmirch the 49ers secondary when it has the reigning NFC Player of the Week, Jair Brown, at safety. Congratulations, Jair Brown. He needed that, man. He was having a rough go of it for a while. Nice to see. But I completely agree with everything you just said. All right. Now, hot take number 2 that you wouldn't tell me what it was before the show because it's a secret surprise. What is it?
One that I know for sure you are going to passionately disagree with.
This is a food take, isn't it?
Sure is.
Yes, I knew it. Okay, go ahead.
Best part of Thanksgiving meal is all of the pies.
God, I cannot disagree more. Best part. Hold on, let me get this.
For the people that don't know, Rob hates pie.
Fruit should not be cooked. All right? I'm sorry. I don't like pie. I think it's all terrible. I think it's all a pile of mush. The best part about Thanksgiving, at least in my house, honestly, is the appetizers. We go hard with the appetizers. Turkey's fine. Cranberries are fine. Potatoes, yeah, fine. But I eat those like anytime. But the Thanksgiving appetizers, we only bring out that time of year. That's what I go with. So I disagree with your take, and I have my own Thanksgiving food takes. Pies stink.
Thanksgiving dessert. Don't eat pie. What are you eating?
Nothing. I don't eat dessert. Dessert stinks. I would much rather have an extra. What?
Now I know why you're a twig.
I would much rather have an extra helping of whatever the actual meal is than a stupid. Oh, here's a cookie. Here's a. Ugh, just miss me with that.
No. I actually love the ham. I don't like. I will eat a little bit of it, but that's more I like. It's Thanksgiving. I have to.
We got a lot of people commenting on the food takes. Gabriel says Thanksgiving is about turkey and the sides. I agree with this take completely. Kyle Tanny says the post-Thanksgiving turkey sandwich. I love a turkey sandwich the next day. You use the cranberry sauce as, you know, the little moisture there in the sandwich.
Cranberry sauce does not touch my plate.
Oh, God. This is the worst take you've ever given.
Well, hold on here. Cranberry sauce you love, and you will use multiple times. Is that not just like cooked? Like that's no different than a cherry pie.
Nobody's like taking a handful of cranberries and just eating it, though. It's not like you don't. That's the only way you eat cranberries. Whereas like an apple, you pick up an apple out of the fridge and you just eat it.
Sure, but like cherry pie filling. Cherry's one of my favorite pies. I have it upstairs waiting for Thanksgiving. Is that not the same as cranberry sauce? Like it's the same consistency, just different fruits.
BTL with Tony says cranberry sauce is a relish. There you go. People are saying there's an echo. I don't hear an echo.
I do hear it when I'm talking.
All right, well, maybe pop out of the studio and pop back in, and we'll finish this thing if I let you back in. We'll see. We appreciate all the food takes. Sorry, I don't know why there's an echo. Apologies on that one. We will get that all straightened out. This game is a big one for the Niners. It would be their 9th victory of the season. Let's see. All right, now speak.
I hear no echo.
Good. How much of a must-win is this? Niners are 8-4, 8 conference wins. We know everybody that the Niners are competing against won last week. We had thought that the Panthers win might take a little pressure off the Niners, but how do you see it?
It's not a must-win. I don't think it is. This is an AFC team. I think it's really big if they do win it, because if they win this game, you can punch the ticket for the playoffs, and now it just becomes what seed do they get. If they lose this, I think playoffs are still highly likely, but there's some question there, and I think there's a lot of pressure then put on those final 3 games, because I think at that point they got to win at least one of them, if not 2 of them, depending on what happens with other teams. They kind of, and the best way to put it would be, if they win this game, they control their own destiny, and they don't have to worry too much. There's not a lot of pressure in the final 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose this game, they don't necessarily control their own destiny anymore, and there's a lot of pressure put on those final games.
McFly121 says, I know local media says 10 wins is the goal, but I think we got to get to 11. I thought 10 would have guaranteed it, but I think McFly is right. I think I got to revise that. I don't know that 10 is going to be enough. It might take 11.
I think there will be a 10-win team that misses playoffs in all likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with the Niners is that they are 8-2 in the NFC, and only 2 of their remaining 5 games are NFC, which means at worst, they are 8-4 in the NFC. And if you look at the other teams and the games that they have left, they're all likely to be worse than 8-4 in the NFC and lose the tiebreak. So the Niners, if they get to 10 wins, they probably have like a 98% chance of making the playoffs because of the tiebreak. The only chance they wouldn't, because you got, like I said, a lot of the NFC North teams, which is who they're competing for the wild card, if we're being just looking at it, they're not. Seattle and the Rams are in. They all still have to play each other, which means whatever team is third amongst them, which would be the team that could knock the Niners out of the playoffs, is likely to have lost more NFC games, and they're already worse than the Niners in NFC record.
Yeah.
So the Niners I think there's one way that I can't remember exactly, but there's one way that they could trade games to where the third place team would have 10 wins and have a win percentage in the NFC slightly better than the Niners. But it's like a crazy scenario where like all of these different games have to go just right. And that's likely to be dead and buried this week with the Lions and Green Bay playing and the Bears playing Philly. So like 10 wins all but guarantees the 49ers playoffs, which is why they're all but guaranteed playoffs currently, because they already have 8 and there's 5 games remaining, 2 of which are against terrible teams, and all 3 of the other ones are winnable.
You've got to handle your business. Also, in case you're wondering, as you mentioned, you've got Dallas is playing Kansas City, which I feel like Dallas is sort of creeping up just maybe in the NFC. Detroit is playing Green Bay, like you mentioned. The Bears are playing the Eagles on Friday. I didn't realize I forgot about the Black Friday game. You also have Seattle is playing Minnesota. They're going to crush the Vikings, so don't even worry about that one. Tampa Bay is playing Arizona. You would think that Arizona is not going to be able to knock off Tampa Bay. I know the Niners have the tiebreaker against them, but I'm still keeping an eye on it. So those are the things to watch this week. Job one, obviously, is handle your own business. But before we get to that point, we're going to have, at least 3 other games that we should be keeping an eye on. And we will see if we are doing a happy recap on Sunday or Brock Purdy is really going through the ringer. It'd be fascinating. If he has a bad game, it'd be fascinating to see what happens because they have the bye week and we're just going to have to sit with that for the bye. And then they play Tennessee.
Yeah. So Dallas is 3-4-1 in conference. They're not going to beat the Niners in a tie break. So that means they're essentially 2 games down because they have the stupid tie. They're not going to make up 2 games on the Niners. If the Niners go 2-3 to finish, the Cowboys would have to go 4-1. That's not happening. The Cowboys have a difficult remaining schedule.
They do.
The Lions, they have 3 losses in the conference already. And like I said, they got to play Green Bay and they got to play the Bears still. The Packers, they're 2-1. They have 2 losses and 1 tie in conference. So they're worse than the Niners. They are 2.5 games behind the Niners if you go by conference record. The Bears, they're 5-2. They have 3 less wins than the 49ers, but they're tied in terms of losses. But like I said, they got to play Green Bay twice. They got to play Detroit. They got to play Philly this week. They're going to get another loss. So the Niners need 10 wins, and they will get in because they've been taking care of business in the NFC.
Are you joining for the instant reaction on Sunday?
I will, as long as it's not like an overtime game.
It won't be. God knows it'll get settled in regulation. Make sure you join us for that. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Everybody have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Levin, I want to say again out loud, and I say this in 100% sincerity, I am incredibly grateful to you and thankful to you, not only to have you do the show every week, but for all the stuff you do for the network behind the scenes that people don't know about. I could not do this without you, and I say that with complete sincerity.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the monthly paycheck. And we should have come up with a bet to where if you lose, you got to come on the show and eat pumpkin pie.
Oh, it's so gross. It's like a pile of orange slop. It's gross.
I know what I'm eating on the show now.
Or maybe we'll do.
I will save a slice for Sunday.
All right, we'll text each other and we'll come up with something and we'll figure it out. But thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you after the game.